Hello and welcome to my Arty Corner. I thought I'd do that as a start for something a bit different, and also as a kind of introduction to what I want to do today and perhaps in the coming days. It's October, which means it's Inktober, which is a trend that was started quite a few years ago by, I've forgotten his name, Jake someone. I'll try and remember to put a link for you. And it's blossomed into different kinds of Inktober Tangles. It was all about drawing with ink, creating ink drawings, and now you can find it everywhere. And of course, the Zentangle community has embraced it. And the Inktober Tangles challenge by 7F5R, 7 Forest 5 Rivers, I think I've got that the right way round, is one I did last year. But this year I'm going to do it a bit differently. Last year, because I didn't have any work that had to be done, didn't have any deadlines. Well, I did, but it wasn't until further ahead than the one I've got the present. I did an exploration of each daily tangle each day. I'm not going to do that this time. I've got to get some work done and I can get lost in that, as you may know. But I'm going to go through most probably three tangles at a time after 3 days are up, just to see what happens, or perhaps I'll see how it goes. So, welcome. Thank you so much if you've subscribed, liked any of my videos, left a lovely comment. I appreciate you all. If you haven't subscribed yet, then please do. It costs you nothing and it means a lot. And ring the notification bell should you wish to have notifications of when I upload my videos. I'm just going to gather some materials together, tidy this up, and I'll be back. Okay, so Inktober. There's a different tangle for each day. We're on the 3rd of October today, which means I'm going to look at 3 tangles. And the first tangle for Inktober, day 1, is one called Rain. And it's by Zentangle Inc. And it starts with a simple line, like so. Then across this line, you just draw a series of zigzag or zigzag like that, however you want to. And then there are lots of things you can do to fill the spaces in you've created. The classic way is to create a smaller triangle within the bigger one and just fill it in. And this creates a really, really graphic pattern, which actually I've become quite fond of in my own way. It's not a pattern I've used often. I think I have explored it somewhere in the past. Not too sure though, because like many of the tangle patterns, there are others that are similar. They're different but similar. And you can get to the same kind of result with it, from different directions, and by making simple changes to a pattern you can end up with a different one. And that's the beauty of this. It's very complex and yet very simple at the same time. The complexity comes from the possibilities that there are. Because Zentangle in itself is quite a simple process, really, drawing Zentangles or drawing tangle patterns. Because they are, like all drawings, constructed one line at a time. But because they're abstract, it takes away that pressure of creating something that looks like what you're looking at, that pressure to create things photographically, and photorealism. And if you can't do that, you can't do art. And that is one of the biggest misconceptions about art and people feeling they can't do art. And it's about learning to look at things in different ways. So that's basically Rain. And it's, as I say, it's a very lovely, very graphic kind of pattern. But there are things we can do to zuzz it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra aura around this one. simply because I want to make sure I've got space between these black sections where they connect back to the line. I could have put an internal kind of aura in by drawing the triangle inside, the complete triangle inside, floating above. That's, you know, the line, or above the lines, auraing them to create all of the lines inside each triangular shape to create a kind of floating triangle. But I didn't do that. Oh look, I've got a lovely little shape there, so it needs something doing to it. So I'm going to add a little seed pod with a curly end to it. I just think, just add something there. So how about if, I'm just going to do one more, and this one I'm going to cross over. So I've got to imagine drawing it behind and bringing it back across here. And then I'm going to do the same kind of thing. So this one perhaps would come down. Let's have it cheekily coming out huge here. And going back there. Perhaps a little one. And another little one which will end there. I quite like the idea of having these larger ones that go behind the others, like this overlapping. Creates interesting spaces for adding pattern. So with this one, I'm going to add these inside. So this is what I could have done with the first one and just left that aura around, which means I wouldn't necessarily have had to use that outer aura. So I'm just going to fill these in. I'm keeping it simple. But these triangle shapes that we have here can be filled with any triangular kind of pattern or in any way, pattern colour you like. They'd be lovely filled with tipple or with one of the triangular fragments that I've done, the triply fragments, or others have done. There's plenty of options there. Now, do I leave that one as it is or do I put the aura around it? I think I'm going to leave it just as it is. And I've got some spaces because I am going to draw this border in as well. So I've got some spaces there I'll be able to do things with. But I'm going to leave that as it is. So that's Rain by Zentangle Inc. That was for day 1 of Inktober. Day 2, which was yesterday, is a lovely floral tangle called Delwhy. And it's by Stephanie Jennifer, who's one of the people from 7 Forests 5 Rivers, 7F5R. And you can find their Facebook group on as 7F5R Challenge, I think it is. For this and other challenges that they do throughout the year. They have a fortnightly challenge, for example. That's better, that feels a bit nicer. You go and add these little touches here. My aim is to try to get all of the tangles on this one sheet. Now, whether I manage to do that is a different question, but we shall see. So, Delwhy, let me just zoom in a bit for this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck these in. I'm going to add these in places that well, they fall naturally. So Delwhy starts first with a leaf shape like this, another leaf shape like that, and then a third one in between. So it looks like a flower, but then this is what makes it different. Is you're drawing a bigger version of the flower or something that looks seed poddy around it. What I'm going to do with this one as well, I'm going to go back and do the same kind of thing with Rain in a moment. Just want to add some line weight to this. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to add some lines inside this that split the section up. So I've gone where these join together. I am tempted to put one in the middle there, but I quite like it just as 3. And the other thing I'm going to do, because I can't leave spaces often without something in them, I'm going to do that. So let me have a look at the rain. I'm going to add weight to the bottom of all of these. You can see what I'm doing here. Okay, let me carry on over here. So not to the bottom and left, I'm just adding weight to one side, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing to the rain on the inside of this aura. Oh, that was a bit clumsy. I am using an 05 pen here as well because I really want quite bold lines on all of this. And that may be why I won't be able to fit all 31 in on one sheet. If that happens, I'll just turn it over and do it on the back. Just tidying up places where I can see I've left gaps. Then on this aura, I'm going to, yeah, I think I will. I was thinking about doing the top of each line instead of the bottom. Actually, I think I will. And I'll do that on the inside of the curves, as it were. I don't want to take anything away from my second strand of rain. And then we'll do the top of the other side as well. Trying to sculpting this as I go. Trying to keep the line thickness consistent along it, but I am bending it towards the end, and that will then give quite a bit of dimension. Come back and decide what I'm going to do there. Okay, 1 Delwhy isn't enough. It's a flowery kind of thing. And I think what I'm going to do at the top as well is I'm going to put a little loop on there, like so, and perhaps just going to thicken at the end there a little bit. I like that. That's okay. So let's draw another one of these sets of 3 leaves here. I've got a tiny gap here, so I'm going to fill that with black. There's the other leaf there. The third one in the middle there. I'm going to put these in because I like that. And then I'm going to draw the top. So I'm not going right to the edge of the leaf, I'm coming part way in. This one I've actually made it that little bit further in than on this one, but it'll be fine. So there's my 2 inner lines. I'm going to thicken that line, and then okay, I'm going to go up, around, down and back up like that to create that shape there. I've got it touching, but it will work its way out, I'm sure, as we go forward. And I would like a third one, so I'm going to pop my third one here. And I'm going to do this shape here again. I'm adding line weight to what would be the bottom of these. That little gap there, I'm just going to fill in with black because I think that makes a bit more sense. I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to add one of these here. So that's my Delwhy by Stephanie Jennifer, sorry. Day 3 is one that's called, I think it's pronounced Isea-u. It's Isea-u, and this is by Dory Peters, who's a CZT, just like Stephanie Jennifer. And it's an unusual one because it looks like a seed pod. So I think it will fit here nicely, and it will look like it's actually one of these morphing into this. So you start by creating a plump, well, I like to think of it as a nice plump leaf shape, and then in the middle we're going to draw another leaf shape going this way. This is where I'm going to swap my pen for a finer one because I want to differentiate these lines from the main structure lines. So I am, in Zentangle terms, auraing these little areas here like that. And then the next bit is, this inside bit is just like the outer bit. So I'm drawing this in, and then I'm going to create auras like this. I like leaving these little gaps in them. It adds interest. It also lightens the ink up a little bit. And then I can actually go across the middle like this and create another one. It lightens the ink there, so it gives a natural kind of highlight, but it just adds texture and interest. So here I've got space for another one. I'm just going to round the ends a little bit, like so, and I'm adding weight to the bottom of this. I'm having a look here. I want to add some thickness on that side and thickness here and here. I'm trying to decide what I want to do in the middle. I think I might just put a little version of that in there. Okay, and then we can do the same here. So you do need to make this one quite plumptuous or quite tall this way if you want to add plenty of detail in the middle. This one I'm going to pop in solid lines, but I am going to fill alternating bands in with black, and I'm going to leave a highlight in the middle. You don't have to leave the highlight, you can always add it in afterwards with a gel pen, which is what I'm likely to do because I'm working on a great grey-green paper here. So that one is really quite graphic-y looking. So again, I'm going to pop this in. Now, I'm going to draw my lines thicker as I go, and I'm not going to leave that white spot in because I'm just doubling up on the thickness of the lines with my pen. And again, I'm going to go this way. Just going to do solid lines because I'll put a white dot there afterwards. And then in the middle, I'll just pop that. So that's another variation. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have one that goes in a different direction. That one is partly tucked behind, but it doesn't matter. There we have this. Okay. me have a look here because I think I might do something a little bit different here. Almost like there's a crack here in this, and I think I'm going to have this one going that way, all the way down. Just going to thicken those lines there. So that's quite interesting, I like that. I'm going to need to use a finer pen to do this one. So at the centre of my little curve shape, I'm putting a little V shape, and then I'm just going to add the line down, just add some line weighting. And can I get another set of this in? Possibly. But I think here I'm just going to draw the curves in, draw the line up, and then just add some weighting and fill the middle in the same way as the others. So there's a different one. You can do whatever you need to do with these. So that's the first 3 days of the Inktober Tangles. I'm just going to have a look. I've got this border here. I do want to make this a little bit thicker. I'm keeping it deliberately untidy and uneven because it adds to the, I don't know, it's my character. I can be very precise about things, but I'm also being precise about untidy edges here, deliberately untidy, like so. Okay, I'll be back in a mo because I'm going to go and get some colours and things to add to this. I will just, I'm hoping you saw all of these on camera because I realised I'd zoomed out, hadn't I? Or zoomed in. Fingers crossed, I forgot to check. But if I didn't, I will try. I'm sure you'll let me know and I'll do them again anyway. But they're just so lovely. In fact, I could see them arranged in a circle as well. There are variations of this as well on the link, because I'll put links to all the step outs for these in the description so you can go and look. And there are variations on, not on the rain, but on the others. If you just search for Tangle Pattern Rain, you'll see loads of them. People, it's just amazing how creative everybody is. There are variations on this where it's created like a flower and so on. And on these, no doubt there's going to be plenty, and with all the opportunities for filling them in. But I will be back in a moment. I'm just going to go and gather some bits and bobs. So see you in a mo. Okay, so what I have done is I've gathered some bits and bobs. I've got these are Zig Writers. They are pigments, archival, acid-free, waterproof pens. Fine liners, they're not as fine as some, but they're fine enough for me, especially as I've used an 05 pen here to get bolder lines. I've got one in evergreen, one in sagebrush. The evergreen is darker than this one. This one gives very subtle patterns. I don't know if I'm going to use them particularly, but I've also dug out some of the Carrion Pro brush markers. This one here I think is Lush Green, which is a lovely, it's quite a dark green. But these are water soluble. I'll go through the others. I've got an olive green and I've got an olive black as well. So I've got different shades of green, which I think will work well with this background. I'm going to keep this monochrome-ish. I also dug out white chalk pastel and a white charcoal pen and a white souffle pen. And if I need anything darker, I've also got my Inktense pencils to hand and so on. So we'll see what happens. But there's a reason for me having these out. So this is my olive green, if you can see. This is the olive black. Oh, that's lovely actually. I think it'll be Lush. And that's the Lush green, which is Lush. And I've got these two I can use with things here. Now I'm just wetting my pen. I'm adding some water to these brush markers, so brush, so that I can pick some paint up. I've got some kitchen roll here, so I can just dab off any extra. And I'm just going to want to think about where I want these the darkest and put the most colour there. The paper I'm working on is the Clairefontaine Paint On paper, which is mixed media. Now with this, even though it looks like it is one colour at the moment, once it's dried I can come back in and glaze colour on the top, so I can add extra colour there. This is lovely actually. It is a very greeny grey, a dark greeny black grey, which suits me because I'm getting that contrast going already, which is what I want. Now of course I'm using these because I have them in my stash, and I've actually been using them for some other explorations and projects that I was working on yesterday, which I want to get finished today and then move forward. But I also want to get my colouring book done. Talking about getting things done, and I'll leave a note in the description as well, is that I'm finding that videos every day at the moment are going to be nigh on impossible. It's amazing how much of my day it takes out, which I don't mind, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about that. But I've got other things that I do need to focus on as well. So I haven't worked out a schedule yet for videos, but I need to, and to be consistent with it, because I'm not getting out to walk in a day, for example, and that's something I definitely need to do. It does me the world of good, even on dull grey days, or especially on dull grey days. Being out around nature, observing the world is good for my mood. And as we're moving into winter here in Wales, as we are in the Northern Hemisphere, the darker days and the gloomier days as well can have a big impact on my mood. Though I've got a daylight therapy lamp I can use, it's still better for me to be out and about. And it also shifts my body, which is a good thing. So I've put those down, and I'll come back in a moment and I'll add some darkness to both of them where I want them dark. I do love this dark colour. I do. So much so, I'm going to use it on these here. I'm going to put it along the edge. I'm going to use it in a lighter version to begin with, because then I can put lighter colours on the top, over the top. Let's have a look at this lovely olive green. Oh, I used the olive green up there. Look at this lush green. So that is more of a greeny green. And more towards the blues of greens, whereas the olive is a yellowy green. That's actually quite nice. Just get some more of that black, just to pop on the edge. The black olive, not black itself. But the black olive, I think, will, well, this is wet, it will blend quite nicely. Got quite a harsh line there, but that's okay. And as these are water soluble, they will always shift with water, and like my Inktense pencils, because the Inktense, once you've wet them and they've dried, they are permanent. They are. So with this one, I'm looking at where the edges of these sections will be. So I'm using olive for this one, because you can get quite a lot of intensity of colour with these Karin markers. And I want to leave a highlight in the middle. If I don't, it's no great thing, because that's what gel pens and other things are for, and I can also pick it up with just water. But I want to get the shadows, the darker coloured areas, where these bits overlap. Again, I'll need to come back and intensify these. To do the same here, so I'm going to add the darkest colour, the most intense colour towards the edge, like so. And then I can choose to use a lighter colour or no colour in between. I'm going to use some olive here, just like I did on the other parts, like so. And do exactly the same in these parts here, but I may actually use that green there as the middle tone and pop some of this black olive towards the sides and at the point. In fact, that could actually be rather nice underneath these. I think that would work actually, just to bring some really deep shadows out. So that will be interesting, especially when I add colour. Okay, oh, I've got this one still here. This colour is actually curry. I've popped it back in the box. Should have kept it out because it actually works really nicely with these. It adds that lighter tone. And I'm going to add just a bit of the olive green along the bottom and top edges where they would be further away. That's actually really nice. That's made me quite happy now. I'm going to use the olive green in this section here, because who said I can't? No one. I think I'll use the black olive, or olive black, right in the bottom there. So I'm choosing 3 different colours that progressively get darker as they get closer to, the lower down the layers go. So I'm just adding a bit more of that olive green to places I've missed. And I will come back and add colour to some other things. Now, because I've got this curry coloured colour here, just a bit of it, I'm going to use that on to give a base wash of colour to these leaves, I think. Again, it's that difference in colour. Makes it different to the background. And I can just add some of that colour to that bit at the end, which I think will work quite nicely. Then I'm adding some water to this olive, trying to get rid of some of my water, mix a colour that's slightly more intense, and then dabbing off some of the colour from my brush there. And I want this darker at the base. In all of these. I may have to actually colour the whole lot in, but because it doesn't look right at the moment. But if I glaze one colour on the top, they mix together and we get a more yellowy coloured green, thanks to the curry colour. Now again, the ideas I'm using here can be used with whatever media you prefer to use. Or if you're just using a chalk pastel or whatever, if you've just got one colour, you can use that. It's about gradients and blending out. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to let that dry. No, I'm not. This is where I want some colour here. Darker colour. Where these leaves are. And at the top as well, because that would be my head just that little bit further away, because we want these to look like they're a little bit on the plump side, as if they have some volume, in other words. Then we need to work on getting shadow, not just at the top and bottom, but along the outside edge as well. That's what I'm doing here. So my brush is now dried, as is the paint on the palette, so just need, I say paint, it's ink really, so I'm just going to add some more here. Pop some underneath this point of a rain, part of the rain pattern, because that would be shadow underneath. So again, I'm just picking up some more. My brush dries like so. And again here, just to bring this in, and that one there as well, just to bring that shadow. Bear in mind that if I have got some areas where this hasn't really blended, but that's where the beauty of having colours that are water reactive means you can always go back and just blend the edge in with a little bit of water, hopefully. Barely damp brush, and that'll create some dimension. Okay, not so well done there, but it'll be fine. There we go. And then I can do the same with these central bits, but instead of using the same colour, I'm going to use this green here. Mostly take that off my brush and use just a barely damp brush just to ease that out and give a little mini teardrop shape in the centre there, which is going to be where my highlight will be, I suppose. Just needs a bit more water on my brush, a bit more of this paint for the last one. Like so, and I can add some more colour there. Again, I'm going to bring those highlights out later on. For the rain, I'm going to work quite simply, I think. And I think I might use, I don't have much of the black olive left, so I'll just pop some more of that on here. You can use these directly from the brushes, from the brush pens themselves, but I find the colours are so intense that I prefer to use them this way and build up layers. For this one, I'm just going to put some shadow towards the base of each of these inner triangles, because I'm using watercolours that are transparent. I can go across the black there and not worry too much. I do want to fade this up a little bit, just a bit, so we can intensify that effect of perhaps having a bit of a dip here, as it were. Just needs a little bit more here. I'm not sure if that works, because I can't actually see what I am achieving very well. I say this often, is that I don't see the illusions I create until I look at them in a different way, whether that's leaving it for a few hours or days and coming back and going, oh, I can see that now, or looking at a screen to see what's going on. And I think I'm beginning to see this, but I also know I need to add more colour right at the base of these as well. As I've got water that's just dripped down here. Let's just add a darkness there. A bit more of the paint or the colour. It's more of an ink than it's not paint really. So I've still got some colour on my brush here. Oh, that was very Welsh, yeah. The year, the there. Slipping into Wenglish. I do that when I'm very relaxed, when I'm comfortable around people. So I'm comfortable around everybody here. Now then, for the outer aura, I'm going to switch this around. I'm going to put the shadows at the top of the triangles. So I'm going to mess with space and dimension here just a bit because I can, because it's something I like to do. Okay, so I've now got plenty there. I'm just going to pick some up. Again, I'm just going to try and blend this out. Perhaps adding a bit too much colour, but we shall see. Okay, let's just get some water this time. And really just spread this out and make a nice gradient is what I want to do. Top and bottom, I do want a little bit of shading at the bottom here, but not as much as in the other part. I still want, so I think I want to differentiate it really from the background more than anything else. So I've got a tiny bit of colour here, and we can always go and add some more colour to the points if that's what I need, that contrast between them, and I think I do in this particular case, so in places. So I'll just go and add that extra bit of darkness top and down towards the bottom, just to help to bring this out that little bit more. Just feels that it needs it. That's really intense. It's what I do to one, I have to do to all. That's the rule of creating a pattern. What you do to one, you do to all, and then you create a pattern and it works. So there we go. Yeah, that'll work okay. And again, I can lighten these if I need to. The same way that with the inner ones, I'm going to add white somehow with some medium to the ones at the top. I'm not a great expert at things like this, and doing things quickly on the fly like this can cause me some issues at times, but we get there in the end. Okay, please, I just want to add a little bit of colour here. I just haven't picked up any. Oh, I did. Just too wet a brush really, just a little bit there perhaps, just to add some more colour. That'd be nice. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to fill it with the background colour. I'm using the olive green for this one. I'm putting a lot of dark at the bottom, to the side. Okay, so there's that one. For the other one, because I've created this internal kind of edge there, I'm going to use just the plain olive green on this one. It's a lighter colour, so it's going to look further towards the background compared to the others, to the ones I've just done rather. So it will look a little bit pushed back, hopefully. Though I think I might have used the, doing better off using these colours the opposite way around now in hindsight. Oops. I've got dark up there and I don't want that. That'll be fine. Because again, I can always go back and remove some of this colour. Or use white to really bring out the highlights, because I know that sort of like white is what's used in Zentangle a lot, and I do like it. Though I am finding it a bit harsh, and I'm looking at other ways of adding highlights that will still lighten this, different colours. Okay, so with this I just want to, oh gosh, too much water. Just use water just to clean that top part up. And we've got that. Now then, I'm having a look here because I know I want to add some more darkness at the base of these, so I really do want plenty of this ink. It is ink actually. The brush markers have got an ink in them, water soluble watercolour ink. These ones I do want to add some shadow top and bottom as well, particularly where they overlap. There needs to be some darkness. And I'm also going to pop some with these here, even that little bit there. I'm leaving the others mostly as they are, but I do want to add the little bands. I'm actually going to add highlights to for sure, but I'm just adding a little bit of curry to either side just to add some colour there. I'm going to leave my Inktober tangles for today in the middle because, oh yeah, we'll have a look now because that I think I'll be okay with. The Delwhys, these ones. I think I may just want to add just a little bit more in here just to bring out some shadows. Again, I'm just going to get a barely damp brush and just blend that out that little bit towards the centre so I don't have those harsh edges. Okay, that's that done. All right, so move some stuff out the way a moment. Right, so my next job is I do want to add some lightness here, and I think I'm going to try doing it with chalk pastel to begin with. I say try doing it, I am going to do it with not the chalk pastel, it's a white charcoal pencil. And I do have a paper stump here that is mostly clean. I think it'll be fine for this. So that will add quite a bit of white brightness there. It has actually. Then I want to add white brightness right at the top of these inner triangles, because I really want to bring those out as being having a really bright white tip. Now if I have to go back in and use my pen to go over black areas and black lines because I've managed to blend this into them, I will. But hopefully I won't have to. This one I might actually, because I have spilled over. So that automatically gives that lift. Yeah, that one I'm going to have to. These ones, I do want to use white inside these as well. At the top points again, because they will just lift that little top point up and have it almost feeling that it's rising above everything. Like so, where I popped my little thingy there. Using combinations of media like this is actually a really good thing. Let me see, I've gone over the lines here that little are thinner than these ones. I'm going to have to tidy these up. The other thing I think I want to do, if I can find the colour I'm looking for, got felt green here. Could do with a different green. Got iron green. That's too greeny green. What colour's that? I don't want sepia. Though it's possible. Don't want Indian ink. The leaf green might do it. Is that I can just go and add some extra colour, because I want to make this that little bit darker at the bottom. I'm using an Inktense pencil here because I know that I can make that work. Let me have a look. I've got this. How wet is this? I think it'll be okay. So I'm just activating the Inktense with a bit of water and just helping it move, just to bring out this colour a little bit more. And I can add some there. May just pick some of that up from the pencil tip. This bit, because I forgot about here. That'll dry just nicely, I think. Just clean that off. Let's just have a look and see if I can just blend that out just a little bit. Which I'm doing. It may not be the best, but we're getting there. So this is another way of adding a different colour. I think I might do it to these as well, because they're very flat and very not interesting looking. But I can add colour to the base and just to the tip. This Inktense. In some ways I wish I'd done the Inktense first now, given that this pen is producing an awful lot of water and I don't want all of that water really. The more I use it, the more water will, or the less water will flow, so it'll be fine. That's a nicer colour, isn't it? I just has lifted that colour completely. I think I'll do the same here. See, live and learn. So for the next set of Inktober images, I think I might just use Inktense to start with. Okay, so that's okay. That's added that darkness of colour that I wanted there. All right, next ones for highlights. I'm going to put highlights along there, towards the middle and along here as well. I'm going to keep this away from the leaves for a little while because the leaves will need to dry. And I'm just going to blend this white in. I didn't put any on this side, did I? I do like the lines that I get with these, so I want to keep the lines in place. Very William Morris. So I'm just softening these highlights really. But I'm moving in a direction that is along the white lines, if that you can see. And what that is doing is it is keeping the white lines in place, so I'm adding some texture. But I'm also getting this lovely brightness there. So there's that one. Same with these. I'm going to put the white in the centre of all of these where the little dazzle is, the razzle dazzle, sparkle. I'm going to move that charcoal along the lines, not against them. Still going to have to go in, I think, with a black pen just to bring out those lines again. It can't be helped. It's a function of using these. So again, here I've just put the white chalk here and here, and moving the paper stamp and the chalk along those lines to blend it out in both directions. The one place I haven't put any is in these little sparkle spots where I've left those distinct breaks. And here I'm going to add chalk right on the top in the centre, and I am going to blend it out in both directions, but I think the middle bit I'm just going to try to work into the paper a little bit so that it sticks and won't move too much as I work on this and get my hands everywhere. I think I do want more white on this though. It's not enough. They're looking very uninspiring in comparison. Part of me knows what I could have done or should have done with them. I think I'm just making it worse here now, but I'm just going to take a paper towel and just buff that in. In fact, all of them, just to take off any loose chalk. Okay, I'm not too happy with this, but there's a reason I got these zig writers out, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some lines up the middle to help accentuate the shapes of these pods. That'll work. I think that helps actually hugely. And I am leaving a break, or a break with a dot, in these lines. I'm breaking them up so they're not whole. But if you prefer to do entire lines, that's your choice as well. And this middle part would actually be perfect for popping seeds in, or perk as they're known. That actually has helped those hugely. And I think I may just do some lines on this one as well, just like so. That was a bit of a mess. Just using this just to clean up the lines, the black lines more than anything. So it'll just clean the chalk off. Just bring that crispness back. Hopefully. That'll be okay. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do, because I'm quite happy with this now, is I've got a white souffle pen here. I've also got a piece of scrap paper, because you need to get these working each time you use them, because the ink that they're made out of will dry around the nib. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding some spots to places where I want a lot of white, So it will really brighten these highlights up quite a bit. These do take a little while to dry, so be careful. And as they dry, they become more and more opaque, and they actually end up quite dull in colour. They're not too shiny, if I remember rightly. They're more matte than the glaze ones. The glaze are shiny, hence why they're called glaze. And I'm going to pop a couple at the top of each of these, just 3, because I will fit 3 in. This is on the ones without the aura, the lighter coloured ones. I can fit 3 in, brilliant. And then on these ones that I put the double aura on, I'm going to put some dots that go through the centre. Like so. So that will give a different feel to that. I'm also going to pop a white dot here on each of these at the end of the stem. I'm going to try to cover up the black bit, which I will do, so it looks like they belong there. And I'm also going to pop some against the background here. I didn't really need to put the white chalk in. And I've forgotten all about this little one. But there we go. So that is more or less days 1, 2 and 3 of Inktober Tangles. I hope you found this useful, that you'll be able to follow along. They look very bright, those white dots. I'm going to do something about, I think I went over the top with them. But I just think that, you know, it's like learning and finding out ways of doing things and trying things out. And I think it may just be the camera that's picking the white up an awful lot. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you'll give these a go. And I hope I'll see you again in my next video, which may not be tomorrow, if you're watching this on Monday the 3rd of October. I'll see how I get on with work and stuff. So I'm still trying to work this one out. So take care, look after yourselves, have fun playing with these tangles, and I'll see you again soon. Take care now. Bye.